You clicked on this video because you want one thing: to get ahead. All right, let's cut the fluff. If you want to be in the top 1%, you need to do what 99% of people won't. Sounds obvious, right? But here's the problem. Everyone thinks they know the formula for success. Everywhere you look, there's another self-improvement guru preaching the same recycled advice. Be disciplined, eliminate distractions, go monk mode. Yeah, because that's exactly what got Warren Buffett rich, right? Goal setting? Sure, my Uber driver has goals, my barista is disciplined. And last I checked, neither of them are buying private jets anytime soon. Look, I'm not saying discipline and goal setting are useless, but let's be real. If these were the true secrets to success, wouldn't everyone be successful by now? Here's the problem. If a strategy is so common that a million YouTube videos are preaching it, it's not what separates the top 1% from everyone else. By definition, if everyone is doing it, it can't be the thing that makes someone extraordinary. The world's most successful people, they don't follow the same playbook as everyone else. They don't succeed because they wake up at 5 a.m., take cold showers, or meditate for 2 hours. They succeed because they think differently. They challenge what's normal. They rewrite the rules. They make bold decisions that most people are too scared to make. So, if you actually want to get ahead, stop blindly following what everyone else is doing. Because here's the harsh reality. The 99% follow a broken blueprint, one that feels productive but actually keeps them stuck. The 1%, they play by an entirely different set of rules. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what those rules are. Once you understand them, you'll never look at success the same way again. Rule 1. The 99% focus on execution. The 1% focus on thinking differently. Most people believe success is all about execution, working harder, grinding longer, and optimizing their productivity down to the minute. They think if they just wake up earlier, hustle more, and push themselves past their limits, they'll eventually break through. But here's the truth. Working harder at the wrong things doesn't make you successful. It just makes you exhausted. The real difference between the top 1% and everyone else isn't how hard they work, it's how they think. While the 99% obsess over efficiency, the 1% question the entire game. Most people assume the key to success is perfecting execution, but in reality, it's the quality of your thinking that determines whether your execution even matters. Look at Elon Musk. He doesn't just improve existing ideas, he reinvents entire industries by challenging the fundamental assumptions behind them. Instead of asking, how can we make electric cars slightly better, he asked, why aren't electric cars already mainstream? What's fundamentally stopping them? The answer? Batteries were too expensive. So instead of just making a better electric car, Tesla focused on reducing battery costs, making EVs viable for the mass market. Instead of asking, how can we make space travel cheaper, Musk asked, why do rockets cost hundreds of millions while airplanes don't? The answer? Because rockets weren't reusable. So SpaceX built the first reusable rocket, cutting launch costs by over 90%. See the pattern? Musk isn't focused on how to execute better. He's focused on what's actually worth executing in the first place. And that's where most people go wrong. They spend years trying to be more productive at something that isn't even worth doing. They optimize the wrong systems, perfect the wrong processes, and grind away at things that don't truly move the needle. So before you even think about working harder, ask yourself, what problem am I actually solving? Am I working on something that even matters? Because at the end of the day, the fastest way to get ahead isn't just working more, it's thinking better. Rule 2. The 99% chase discipline. The 1% design their environment. Most people believe that success is about willpower and self-discipline. They think if they could just stay more focused, avoid distractions, and push themselves harder, they'd finally break through. That's why the 99% obsess over discipline. They believe that if they just had more of it, they'd be unstoppable. But the top 1%? They know that no one, not even the most successful people in the world, has unlimited willpower. Instead of trying to force themselves to make the right decisions every day, the top 1% design their environment so that success happens automatically. Elon Musk doesn't rely on motivation. He builds systems that make efficiency inevitable. He knows that even the smartest people get bogged down by bureaucracy, pointless meetings, and decision fatigue. So instead of telling himself and his employees to stay focused, he removes the distractions entirely. At Tesla, Musk streamlined communication policies to eliminate unnecessary meetings. Employees are encouraged to walk out of meetings that don't add value. No waiting, no politeness, just leave. He also bans excessive email chains and forces teams to work in the most direct way possible. Why? Because he knows that no amount of discipline can overcome an environment designed for inefficiency. The same principle applies to your own life. If you're constantly struggling to stay disciplined, the problem isn't you, it's your environment. You don't need to rely on motivation to be productive if you set up your life so that the right choices are the easiest ones to make. Want to stop wasting time on social media? Delete the apps from your phone. Want to work out more? Put your gym clothes next to your bed so it's the first thing you see in the morning. Want to focus better? Turn off notifications and create a workspace with zero distractions. The truth is, willpower is overrated. If you have to constantly force yourself to do something, you're fighting a losing battle. Instead, optimize your environment so doing the right thing becomes the default. Rule 3. The 99% say, "I don't have time." The 1% eliminate time wasters. Let's be real. When people say, "I don't have time," what they actually mean is, "I do have time, but I spend it watching Netflix, scrolling Instagram, and convincing myself that reading self-improvement articles counts as being productive." The average person spends over 2 hours a day on social media. That's 700 hours a year, which, in case you need a frame of reference, is enough time to learn a new language, start a business, or become semi-decent at playing the guitar. But no, instead we choose to read about celebrity breakups and argue with strangers on Twitter. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, who, I should remind you, runs Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and like 5 other companies you've never heard of, has the same 24 hours as you. But instead of spending his time watching TikTok dance challenges, he time blocks his entire day into 5-minute slots and eliminates distractions like they personally insulted his mother. Musk doesn't do pointless meetings. Musk doesn't waste time on long email chains. Musk doesn't endlessly research things he should just start doing. He focuses only on what moves the needle. So if you ever catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," do yourself a favor. Pull out your screen time report and prepare to be humbled. Then start cutting, unfollow, unsubscribe, turn off notifications, delete the apps sucking the life out of your brain. Because let's be honest, if you have time to binge watch 3 seasons of a show you don't even like, you have time to work on your goals. The top 1% aren't magically gifted with more hours in the day, they're just better at not wasting them. Rule number 4. The 99% work more. The 1% work on the right things. Look, I get it. Hustle culture got to you. You've been brainwashed into thinking that working 16-hour days, running on 3 hours of sleep, and chugging enough coffee to send a horse into cardiac arrest is what makes someone successful. Well, I hate to break it to you, but working more doesn't mean working smart. If grinding for endless hours was the key to success, construction workers and night shift janitors would be running the world. But they're not. Because it's not about how hard you work, it's about what you're working on. Elon Musk, the guy's not sitting around answering emails and updating spreadsheets all day. Is focusing only on high-leverage decisions, the kind of moves that actually change the game. He doesn't waste time micromanaging every detail. He puts his energy into the one thing that will make everything else easier. Think about it. Tesla didn't become Tesla because Musk was obsessing over whether employees should use Slack or email. It became Tesla because he focused on solving the battery problem, which, once fixed, made electric cars viable for the mass market. Same with SpaceX. He didn't waste time on minor engineering tweaks. He focused on the one big problem, making rockets reusable. And guess what? That one decision changed the entire space industry. Meanwhile, the 99%, they waste their time on things that don't actually move the needle. They answer emails all day, attend meetings that could have been a 2-sentence memo, and spend 3 hours designing a to-do list instead of, doing the thing. So here's a simple challenge. Find the one thing that actually creates results in your life and double down on it. Stop filling your day with busy work that makes you feel productive but actually leads nowhere. Because success isn't about who works the longest, it's about who works on the right things. Rule 5. The 99% make excuses, the 1% take full ownership. You ever hear someone say, "I'd be successful too if I had the right connections," or "I'd totally start my business, but the economy sucks right now," or "I'd get in shape, but my metabolism is slower than dial-up internet"? Yeah, that's why they're stuck. The 99% blame their circumstances, the economy, their boss, their upbringing, their genetics, their horoscope. They act like life is some rigged video game where they got stuck with the worst character build, and instead of leveling up, they just complain about how unfair it all is. Meanwhile, the 1% don't wait for perfect conditions, they create them. Elon Musk didn't say, "I'd love to send people to Mars, but NASA won't return my calls." He said, "Screw it, I'll build my own rockets." He didn't complain that the car industry was too competitive. He jumped in and built Tesla anyway. When he bought Twitter, he didn't sit around making a 5-year plan. He started tearing it apart on day 1. That's the difference. Excuses are easy, ownership is hard. And look, I get it. Sometimes life is unfair. Sometimes things happen that aren't your fault. But guess what? They're still your problem. You have 2 choices. Spend your time complaining about how things should be easier, or figure out how to make things work anyway. So let's be real. If you're always late, it's not because you're a late person, it's because you don't plan ahead. If you're broke, it's not just because of the system, it's because you haven't figured out how to increase your income. If you're stuck in the same place year after year, it's not bad luck, it's because you haven't taken the right actions. The 1% don't wait for permission. They don't wait for the right moment. They take full responsibility for their time, their choices, and their results. So here's your final challenge. The next time you catch yourself making an excuse, stop, own it, fix it, because nobody else is going to do it for you. All right, you've made it this far. You're ready to break out of the 99% and dominate life like some kind of hyper-optimized productivity machine. But before you sprint toward the 1% lifestyle, ask yourself, do you actually want it? Or are you just chasing it because society told you that you should? Because here's the thing, success doesn't fix your problems, it amplifies them. If you're unhappy, money won't fix that. If your relationships suck, success will make them more complicated. If you feel overwhelmed now, building an empire won't magically make life easier. Look at Elon Musk. The guy runs multiple billion-dollar companies, barely sleeps, and lives in a constant state of crisis. Still want his life? Now, I'm not saying don't aim high. I'm saying make sure you're chasing something that actually matters to you, because you could follow every rule in this video and still end up miserable if you're chasing a version of success that isn't yours. So before you go all in, define success for yourself. Forget what your parents expect. Forget what social media flexes. Forget the idea that you need to be in the 1% to be happy. What actually matters to you? Maybe you want to build a billion-dollar empire. Great. Maybe you just want freedom and time for the people you love. That's just as valid. What's not valid? Spending years chasing something you don't even want. So before you sprint ahead, ask yourself, where am I actually trying to go? Because if you get crystal clear on that answer, you'll already be ahead of 99% of people. Now go figure it out.